Zidane wants Dybala, Guardiola to reunite with Messi, Ali disappoints for Spurs, a transfer roundup, plus Friday feels, all coming up on today's OneFootball Daily News. As I'm your host Angelina Kelly, let's get into it. First up, and reports coming from Italy, Zinedine Zidane has got his eye on Paulo Dybala and he's willing to trade in both Vinicius Jr and Isco to get his man. Now, the 26-year-old is having contract negotiations with Juventus. They're wanting to get him to sign an extension that will keep him at Turin past 2022. However, Zidane is also promising him that he will be the star man of the Real Madrid team, and this would get him away from kind of living in Ronaldo's shadow at Juventus. This is an interesting one because for Dybala, I can see why he maybe wouldn't want to stay at Juventus because let's face it, although we don't know how long Ronaldo will be at Juventus, he isn't showing any signs of stopping. And this could mean that Dybala could be in his shadow for quite a few years, we don't know. And obviously the appeal of going to the Bernabeu, it is massive for a young player, let's be honest. But regarding Vinicius, I just feel like he is such an amazing young prospect. You know, he does make mistakes, he does frustrate at times, but we all, I think, sometimes do forget how young he actually is. And I feel like with Zidane having, you know, Valverde, Odegaard, all these young players, and this almost kind of next generation of Real Madrid players coming through, I think it would be a real shame to kind of get rid of Vinicius at this point. Isco, the 28-year-old has been kind of dropping down the pecking order at Real Madrid. We saw him obviously at El Clasico, not very happy with the fact that he keeps being subbed off. And apparently Pirlo has already expressed interest in Isco and has wanted to sign him in the past. So this part of the deal could definitely happen. However, of course, Dybala has been involved in so many transfer talks and it's looking like they could face opposition from the likes of Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea, even though they've signed so many players, they still want more, and Manchester United. It will be really interesting to see what happens with this one. My only concern is that, you know, they're going to kind of sell Dybala this dream of you will be the star player. So what's going to happen to Hazard, who was kind of brought in as a bit of a star player? You know, if they're going for Mbappe, I assume this means that they wouldn't go for Mbappe maybe. How are they both going to be star players? It's not really going to work. And obviously there are talks about Haaland maybe going to the Bernabeu. This, although Haaland would be more expensive, he does bring more of a reliability in front of goal, let's be honest. His numbers are a lot better than Dybala's. So it will be interesting to see who they actually end up signing, and with Zidane's job potentially in jeopardy, it'll be interesting to see who Real Madrid actually sign. Meanwhile, it is looking like Guardiola and Messi could be reuniting, but the question is, will it be at Manchester City or at Barcelona? Now, there are rumours that Messi's father is still in touch with the big bosses at City regarding potential contracts. Obviously, Messi is very good friends with Aguero, so people are kind of talking about there's maybe still some potential in that deal. However, let's be honest, with everything that's been going on this week with Barcelona, I think this reunion will more likely be at the Nou Camp. Now, yesterday, Barcelona's presidential favourite Victor Font did come out and say that he has a clear plan and a clear structure to bring the La Liga giants back to their glory days, shall we say. And the way he wants to do this is by bringing back some of their old players, not only Guardiola, but also Xavi, Iniesta, Carles Puyol, and he thinks that this could really give the team of today a massive boost. As Font has said, you know, rebuilding from this generation of Barcelona players that have been absolute world-class, amazing talent, you know, it is going to be difficult, but he believes that the storm is over, and by using these legends and bringing them back into the club, it can help the rebuild. Now, you could kind of argue this in that if you're trying to move away from these club legends and this era of Barcelona, why you're bringing them back in, but at the same time I can also understand his thought process, because having experienced former players like them that have won things, that have achieved so much, could be, you know, an amazing move regarding, you know, inspiring the next generation of Barcelona players. Now, regarding Pep Guardiola and a return to Barcelona, I can definitely see this happening. Obviously, we will have to wait and see what happens with Manchester City and if he ends up signing a contract extension, but I think it could be, the time when he does step down from Manchester City. Now, City fans could argue that Pep Guardiola has been absolutely amazing. It has been such a success. He has brought so much success to them. At the same time, there will be City fans that respect everything that he did, but maybe are a little bit frustrated that he never really got them past a Champions League quarter-final with all the money that they've spent. But I think that if he does step down, I don't think that Manchester City will be too bitter about it. I think they'll just respect what he's done for the club. He's always said that he wanted to return to Barcelona, and with things that have happened recently this week, and it looks like Messi could potentially be staying, I could really see this happening. But the question on everybody's lips, could this bring Barcelona back to their glory days? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, at Spurs, Dele Alli has come under fire from former Tottenham great Glenn Huddle. Now, last night in the Europa League, Spurs did have a really disappointing loss against Antwerp. Dele Alli did start the game. Mourinho subbed him at half-time along with 3 other players and actually came out and said that he wished he'd been able to sub 11 players. He was not a happy bunny. Mourinho handed Dele Alli his first start since September, and he failed to really make the most of the opportunity. This has caused a lot of concern from Huddle, and he said that this Dele Alli situation is extremely worrisome, especially when you consider the fact that he hasn't actually finished a game this campaign, and out of his 3 starts that he's been given, he's been hauled off at half-time twice now. Huddle has also said that he believes Mourinho will be extremely disappointed in the player. Bit of an understatement there, and he's also said that some of the sloppy play that he's seen is definitely not going to get him back into that first team. This is a sad situation for Spurs. I mean, you can understand Mourinho's frustrations. They went 1-0 down before half-time, and it just was a little bit of a disaster. They could have done a lot better. And you can understand his frustrations with the players and with Dele Alli. He's given him this opportunity to kind of say to him, you know what, go on the pitch, show me what you can do. And he's not really delivered. But then at the same time, you do feel for the player because you think he's struggling, he might need a little bit of support, maybe he's not getting that. And he's just a shadow of the player that he was, and it is really sad to see. It will be interesting to see how this one pans out, but with the transfer window fast approaching, Dele Alli may have run out of opportunities to prove to his club why they shouldn't be considering selling him in January. Now it is time for our transfer roundup. This is where we take a look at some of the news and transfers going on in the footballing world. And first up, it is looking like Juventus are going to be sticking with Andrea Pirlo, despite some of the criticism that he's faced regarding the club's start to this season. Over at Barcelona, Marc-Andre ter Stegen has returned to training after being out with an injury. Karim Benzema at Real Madrid has apologised to Vinicius Jr after telling his teammates not to pass to him during their Champions League clash earlier in the week. And finally, Santos wonderkid Angelo Gabriel has beaten Pele's record by becoming the 2nd youngest player to feature for the club at 15 years old, 10 months and just 4 days. Last but by no means least, it is Friday Feels. This is where we give you guys the chance to leave your footballing predictions in the comment section below, and some of the correct ones will be read out on Monday. Kicking things off in France, it is Lille against Lyon this weekend, and although Lille did draw to Celtic 2-2 last night in the Europa League, I think they're going to get a pretty comfortable win against Lyon considering their start to the season so far, and I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory for them. Over in Serie A, I think that Sassuolo will be able to continue their unbeaten run and will finish their game 1-1. And of course, Arsenal will play Manchester United this weekend. I think it's going to be similar to the United-Chelsea game in that we had a lot of expectations and we ended up being disappointed. And I think this one is going to end in a 2-2 draw. So that is everything for today's OneFootball Daily News. Why don't you guys let me know in the comment section down below your Friday feels and what you thought of today's daily news. Whilst you're there, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribing. Check out all the other content that we've got going on here at OneFootball by clicking here or here. Have a great weekend, and until next time, I will see you guys soon.